give you a highlight of that situation. The recent operation that we did on Hyde, School, Temple, Union Street. Since that operation, knock on wood, and those whole high-profile repeat violent offenders have been held, we have not had one gunshot activation go off. So there's a proof in the pudding there. If you keep these repeat violent criminal offenders off our streets and out of our neighborhoods, there is an effect. Captain Keenan and his gun crew have taken over 100 guns off the streets. 100 guns. We continue to work very closely with ATF and the FBI, the NIBIN system, on identifying, connecting with other crimes that are being committed. Also, pertaining to that area, I just had the new regional director of New England, HUD, Juana Matias, in my office, and Springfield Gardens is now on their radar screen, especially financially with the Fannie Mae, but also when we move to get reputable developers there, that they're going to have to cover that delta, the funding delta on it. So, and I just want to prove a point to you. If you remember some of the people that are veterans here, if you remember the old Hollywood section in the South End, which at times was, they said, was out of control because of the numerous landlords, terrible landlords that were down there. We took the bull by the horns and looking to do the same thing with Springfield Gardens. That now is out in park under the direction of First Resource and the transformation of Emerson White Park, my old South End Community Center, now the new South End Community Center, opening up that area, the one-ways, and making street connections there. Complete turnaround when you have proper management down there. So it can and will be done. Again, on these things, there are being leads that have been followed, investigations occur. These were targeted incidents that occurred. And again, this is an epidemic across the nation, gun violence. And I have to say, last thing I say before I turn it back over to Deputy Kent and others to speak, my administration, we fund a multitude of proactive, preventative programs, whether in youth development, community centers, mental health, schools, reentry programs. We're doing a new initiative with Sheriff Cochee that's really never been done before. Job programs. But let's face the facts here. These individuals that we talk about, these 2% of repeat violent criminal offenders, they're never going to be in programs, or they never took advantage of these programs. All they understand, and should understand, for the law-abiding residents and business community of all creed, colors, and backgrounds, is they understand incarceration. And it's proven what the recent operation we did. And I commend those judges that decided to hold those high-profile offenders, because it does make a difference. But we're going to stay ever vigilant on continuing to fund these proactive and youth development programs, because we want to show our young people and our young adults a positive path, that they don't have to go down this negative path. So as we move forward, I really commend Springfield Police Department, State Police, Sheriffs, our partners in the task force, ATF, DEA, Colonel Schroed and State Police, FBI. We all were here earlier, in my earlier meeting, on our plan of attack. There are some things that we cannot speak of. They're underway. They currently are underway. Of things that are already underway. And we look forward to taking off these bad actors, and we look forward to making the arrests of these tragic situations. But once again, they were targeted events. And I'll leave you with this. We just had the Basketball Hall of Fame, worldwide coverage, and Bill Burr, a famous comedian at the Mass Mutual Center, and I want to commend Deputy Chief Larry Akers. Not one issue at all. Not one issue at all. These are bad apples and bad actors that are sometimes in our neighborhood, on our streets, and we're going to look to eradicate them. So we have a full court press. Suppression will continue, as well as the preventative and proactive programs moving forward. But these 2%ers have to be held, taken off the streets, taken out of my neighborhoods, not to terrorize my residents nor my business community. And the proof's in the pudding. High, Temple, School, Union Street, not one, knock on wood, not one gunshot activation has gone off since those high-profile people have been held. And I'm quick to chastise some of our judges in the court system. Here, I commend those judges that decided to hold these repeat violent criminal offenders. I'll turn it back to Deputy Kent. Thank you very much.
So I can speak very briefly about
Major Shoot, I'm sorry, give him a promotion. Major Moore.
I can speak very briefly about the events of the last week, 4 homicides that we had. They don't appear to be related by geography or personal relationships or anything like that. They were all targeted. None of these was a random act. And without jeopardizing any of the ongoing investigations, I can't say much more than the homicide unit is making significant progress on those. We've been in contact all weekend, and they're been a long weekend for the homicide unit, but they're doing a heck of a job in there. So I would send out kudos to Captain Duda and his crew. Year to date in the city, and I've heard different numbers reported, I can tell you the correct numbers are 22 homicides, 20 murders, okay, because every murder is a homicide, but not every homicide is a murder. One of the events is already deemed to be a justifiable homicide, which is to say the actor was acting in self-defense. The second one has not been officially deemed that yet, but having seen all the evidence, I believe that it will be shortly. With that, one more thing. I would say that in addition to the 100 firearms seized by the Firearms Investigative Unit under Captain Keenan, department-wide, we've seized 214 firearms this year. 26 of those are what we refer to as ghost guns, which are basically guns that are manufactured, built at home, or built with a 3D printer, or parts that are ordered through the mail, that are not serialized, that cannot be traced back to any type of manufacturer or sale or anything like that. They're basically untraceable firearms. So we've seized 26 of those. But interestingly, of the 214 firearms seized citywide this year by the department, 102 are large capacity firearms, which is to say that they have magazines that hold in excess of 10 rounds. So you can see where that would be a problem as well. With that, I will call Captain Keenan up.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Firearms Investigation Unit, as the Mayor and Deputy Kent have said, have seized 100 firearms year to date. We work every day in conjunction with the ATF, the U.S. Marshal Service, the State Police, SINRAD Unit, the Hampden County Colonial Narcotics Task Force, FBI Gang Task Force, and we're out there. I can tell you that we've prevented a lot of violence by the 214 guns that have been seized in the city of Springfield. Not including those numbers, a significant amount of what's known as Glock switches. They're very common in today's news story. And they're instruments that take a firearm and they turn them into a fully automatic weapon. Every one we seize, we trace back with our federal partners trying to get to the origin. And I can tell you, Springfield police officers, not only in Springfield, wherever those parts are, they'll go to Vermont, they'll go to Worcester, they're everywhere. So we are working them back for the citizens. The JAG grant that the Mayor and the Deputy spoke about, we'll make a group of state troopers that'll be available. We're going to have stepped up warrant enforcement, stepped up gang enforcement, stepped up prostitution enforcement. If you're coming to Springfield to commit crime, we're going to catch you. We're not going to have that. If you're coming to Springfield to conduct commerce and live a life, you're more than welcome. And to speak about a win that the Mayor alluded to, since July 28th, when the Springfield Firearms Investigation Unit and the Hampden County Sheriff's Department, under the direction of Sergeant Jamie Bruno that day, made some significant arrests, there's been 0 shot spotter activations in that area. If you look at what was going on Mattoon Street, Avamont Triangle, Elliott Street, the federal courthouse even, There hasn't been any problems down there lately either due to work done by the Firearms Investigation Unit, our partners in the Sheriff's Department and the other task force done. We address the hot spots and we take care of them. Not always as timely as people like, but let me tell you, your neighborhoods are safe. If you live a law-abiding life in Springfield, you're safe. We're out there for you, and if you're a taxpayer in Springfield, we make best uses of your resources. We use the other agencies. The mayor and his team, Sean Farm, the grant writer, they're out there constantly getting money to fund law enforcement. We do a really, really good job. I'm proud of the work that these men and women do out here every single day. The record of complaints and prisoner injuries it's exemplary. I'd put our numbers against anyone in the country. Criminals are treated with respect, citizens are treated with respect, and we're going to continue to do the best job we can to make this the great city that it is. Thank you.
Anyone from the Sheriff's Department?
I'd just like to thank the mayor and the command staff from Springfield PD on behalf of the sheriff. He's going to stay dedicated to helping you with the commitment that we've been doing. Thank you.
And lastly, I bring Deputy Chief Akers to speak about some of the events downtown over the weekend and in the past weeks.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to express my condolences to all the families who have lost loved ones during this tragic time here in our city. They're suffering through things that most of us can't imagine, and I just want to express my condolences to those families. If anyone up here had absolute answers to how to stop everything that's happening here, but we probably wouldn't be standing up here. This is not just a Springfield problem, this is a national problem. And we here with the mayor's office, who has given us many resources to try to work with to curb these problems, we're fighting hard to try to get this under control, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Although many of these incidents happen in certain areas of the city, it should not reflect on the good residents in these areas. These are actors that are coming from other places, that are taking advantage of areas that they feel they can get away with doing some very bad things in. And we have a lot of good residents here in the city of Springfield, and by no way should this reflect on them. As I said, the mayor's office has given us resources to help combat this, and we're going to do whatever we can to stop these problems from escalating the way that they have been as of recent. We in the city of Springfield have been doing some very good things lately. We've had so many good things going on downtown Springfield, these events taking place. I mean, we have a lot of different entertainment coming in now. We've had thousands of people coming into our city on a weekly basis, and nothing has gone wrong. No one has gotten hurt. Everyone has come into this city and have left this city or gone back to their homes without any incidents. I mean, from the 4th of July holidays with Judy Matt and the Spirit of Springfield orchestrating there. I mean, it's a great thing. Tens of thousands of people coming into this city, and we don't have incidents. Just the other day, we had the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement and Bill Burr concert. Tens of thousands of people came into this city and left or went back to their homes without any problems. So I would like to assure the people in the city of Springfield that this is not just a city problem. Yes, we are having problems in our city, but it's a national problem, and we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that people feel safe within the city of Springfield. So rest assured, it's not our city that's falling apart. It's just some bad actors that are doing some very bad things, and trust me, we will put a stop to it. The Springfield Police Department, with the mayor's office, the sheriff's office, and all of our other counterparts, we will be here to make sure that this city is safe for our residents and for all of those who are coming into our city. The Springfield Police Department, we will be here to continue the fight. Thank you.
I don't know if you have any questions or comments. Just last thing I want to say is multi-pronged approach. I'll be meeting with my community stakeholders again this week because we're going to continue preventative and proactive programs, but I think all the brave and dedicated public safety officials that are here have indicated what the issue is. They were targeted. As Deputy Chief Akers indicates, any loss of life is tragic, no matter what the circumstances are. Deputy Kent, again, indicated we are working some very good information and leads, and rest assured, I'm sure that they will make those arrests. And then we ask the courts and some of our judges to make sure that they hold these individuals to give peace of mind to the residents and the business community of the city of Springfield. But everybody has said this, and it's been reported nationwide. This has turned into be a nationwide epidemic, and we're going to battle hard to continue to knock this down here in the city of Springfield.
Mayor, how many arrests have been made out of all of the 22 homicides?
I'll let Deputy Kent speak, but I really want to give credit to our senior chief, senior captain, Trent Duda. He's one of the best in the business. Unfortunately, I told Trent, a.k.a. Colombo, I said, it's too much business going on right now. But they've made a number of arrests in prior murders that have occurred, and there are some that I think will be announced in the very near future, but their percentage is pretty good. The other thing, and I'll bring the deputy up, what hurts these investigations is when you build those relationships with the residents of business community in the neighborhood, after we make suppression type activities and also bring in proactive type activities, and then they see that individual right back on the street the next day, no mas. They don't want to talk anymore at that point in time. So that's the domino effect that occurs, but I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief.
Mayor.
Let me finish that question first.
So I can tell you that out of the 22 homicides, 11 have been exceptionally cleared. That means either an arrest, declared justifiable, as I spoke about earlier, or the offender may be deceased. So that's where we're at. The clearance rate is right, I guess, at 50% homicide, which is pretty good nationwide. So that's where we're at with that. These last four, as I said, significant progress being made. I expect that we'll see some results from those investigations, at least a couple of them sooner than later, and then some of them maybe a little later on. They're a little more labor intensive, I think. That's where we are at this point in time.
Is it accurate that 22 homicides is the most in 24 years, which I saw? Is that accurate?
So again, without having, so it's 20 murders, right? So 22 homicides, 2 are probably going to be justifiable, we'll say. So it's 20 murders. I don't know that when we count murders, we count justifiable homicides in there. So I really can't answer that question accurately. I don't know if when we're counting murders, are we just counting straight murders? So then it would be a 20. Right? If we're counting homicides across the board, 22, I believe that would be right around the tie. I think that's probably right around our high in my 31 years here, but I don't have those numbers in front of me.
We have been as low, I mean, 1 is too many. We have been as low as 14, 11, 9. I just think we see the trend right now is that the epidemic of gun violence process, and again, I have to know with some of the court system and judges, because some of those individuals we continue to arrest repeatedly, and I know I'll hear from some defense attorneys or some judges that'll say, well, you know, bail can't be that restrictive, it's for them to come back to court. Well, they are coming back to court after committing more heinous crimes, many on bracelets or monitors. But as Deputy Chief Larry Akers said, no matter what the circumstances, any death is tragic.
You mentioned a couple times that these were targeted killings. Why is that, for the layman, why is that important for people to understand?
I'll let the deputy chief handle that, but targeted meaning that, I'll let the deputy chief handle that.
So when we say targeted killings, right, we're not talking about somebody who's attending an event who becomes a victim of street violence, say a mugging where someone is killed. We're talking about people that are engaged in behaviors that lead to what happens to them, right? That behavior may be carrying a gun, engaging in gang activity, selling drugs, things of that nature. That's what we mean when we say targeted. They're not random events that are happening to Joe Citizen as he goes about the normal events of his day in his life.
And you'll see, as things move on, that some of these individuals knew each other too. But still, that's our past, because we don't want to see anybody get harmed or hurt or God forbid, murdered. But that's important. From the, again, you can't say too much targeted. They were targeted. I think that Deputy Chief Akers said about the worldwide events that we had. The Shrine, Billbrook, it was not one issue whatsoever. And then on the other side, I probably said 3 or 4 times, after we did that suppression activity with all our partners, and at the time I had also all my community stakeholders there too, and you weren't hearing it from Sarno, you were hearing it from them that some of these bad actors got to be cleaned off the street, and then we can go continue to offer what we can do through all our programs too on it. So, knock on wood, Murphy's Law, knock on wood, that's not one shot spotter has gone out in that Temple High Street, School Street area, because, and I commend those judges, they held those bad actors. That's what we need more and more of. And I think if you do that, not only in Springfield, but across the nation, you will see a massive decline of gun violence, this epidemic. I mean, on the federal level, they're not working together. They're not working in unison. They're not working constructively. These are wedge issues, whether it's gun violence, whether it's migration, and it's instead of working together to get something constructively done. By not doing that, what happens? Everything trickles down, especially to urban centers. And we have to handle it on our front porch day in and day out.
Mayor, when you talk about that full court press, just for the people living in those communities, what does that look like from a boots on the ground perspective, just for people that are living in those communities?
I don't want to say, well, besides the SPD, which will be out there, and the state police, which will be out there, you'll also have clandestine activities going on with our federal and state partners, and you will see that. You won't see that. And then you'll also have targeted actions that are going on, going after more high-profile type individuals. So you're going to see, you'll visually see the patrols that will continue to increase. You'll see the partnership through the JAG grant, as Captain Keenan indicated, on specific crime activity with the state police. And then again, you might not see them, but our federal partners are out there, the DEA, FBI, ATF, and so that's what you'll see. We're going to continue the suppression aspects, and we're going to get these bad actors, and we're hopeful the courts and some of our judges will keep them off the streets, because the proof's in the pudding. You keep these bad actors off the streets, areas that have been affected negatively can get better, and then we can continue to go in with our proactive preventative programs for youth development, mental health, jobs, re-entry, schools, when people feel comfortable. And it enhances our relationships with the community, because now they feel confident that they can come forward and give information and or other activities that are going on in which the public safety officials can go after at that point in time. And we'll continue to work with Sheriff Kochi District Attorney Gallooni, Anthony continues to call on dangerousness hearings. You know, we had a couple instances there where it was thrown back at me saying, why wasn't a dangerousness hearing called? And I said, District Attorney Gallooni did call a dangerousness hearing on situations, but the judge let that person go. In one instance, I think that was the person that cut the bracelet off twice. Am I correct on that? And someone is dead. And then Ilian Torres, God rest his soul, going to his wake and having to speak to family members and friends. That was another instance of repeat violent criminal offender, bracelet cut off. They got mayor. Why? Sarno, why was that person on the street? As a mayor, he or she, no matter how much power one thinks we might have, I can't bring somebody back to life. Now, those individuals, we interact, and you got to console them. So I think sometimes some of these judges and some of the court system need to know how this affects families. So, but I want to commend on that recent suppression that we did in that area I mentioned. Those bad actors have been helped, and I commend those judges on that because it's shown a proven effect in that area, and we hope to continue that. I wish I could say more, but I don't want to jeopardize the investigations and potential arrests that are going to occur on this recent uptick of gun violence. Any other questions or comments? And again, I'll be meeting with my community stakeholders again later this week.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, everybody.